time getting it done. There's so much work going on. The cowboy is a true American hero, and it has been my subject matter for over 35 years. So I really enjoyed sculpting a cowboy on a bucking horse. I'm just glad your school mascot wasn't a bullfrog or a duck or something like that. But I guess if it was, you probably wouldn't have hired me. I want to recognize some friends, Roy and Patty Dennis from Enid. They both graduated from Northwestern, and Roy was a star sprinter and running back during Tom McDaniel's run, so I think it'd be a reunion. Also, some of my family members, my daughter Shannon and her husband Marty Meyer, my grandson Peyton, granddaughter Morgan, and of course my wife Edna May. And speaking of bucking horses, all but Morgan have been bucked off horses. Edna May has also seen me on and off bucking horses. So being my best critic, the Rangers should be correctly done. Yesterday I saw and talked with Northwestern rodeo coach Tim Cobb. I hadn't seen him in close to 30 years when he rode a colt for me. I know he's been on some bucking horses, and I think he gave the Ranger a good score. And I hope everyone else will. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of the centennial of the great state of Oklahoma, I present to you at this time the Ranger Band and Concert Choir with their rendition of Oklahoma Rising. The year was 1960. My wife Willadine and I moved to Alva, and soon we became friends with the Ryerson family. That friendship continues to this day. Richard Ryerson is an amazing person. He's the third generation, and I see the fourth generation of management of Star Lumber Company toward the back of the crowd with John standing under the tree. Lumber yards in Alva, Blackwell, and Woodward. He found time to be the commander of the local guard unit. He's been on the Board of Regents for over 8 years. He chairs the Building and Construction Committee there, and that's wise indeed. He's a man of unlimited talents, a great community leader. He has pledged himself to the improvement not only of his community, but to his state, his nation, and especially to education. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege indeed to introduce to you Regent Richard Ryerson.
For a while I wasn't sure who he was talking about, but I think tree, after which he was in private practice of law here in Alva for several years. In 1981, the Supreme Court of Oklahoma appointed him as Administrative Director of State Courts. Then he joined Kerr McGee in 1984, ultimately becoming Vice Chairman of the company and a member of its Board of Directors. On November 16, 2006, he was inducted into the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. Howard McDaniel's greatest accomplishment was searching out and talking into marrying him a young lady named Brenda Bockelman. The date, 1959, June 12. I happen to remember that date, June 12, 1959, because that's when I married my wife. Both of us were married in Methodist churches in Oklahoma at 2 different cities. And since that time, we've had the opportunity to celebrate our wedding anniversaries jointly a number of times. Brenda McDaniel received her bachelor's degree in education from the University of Oklahoma in 1962. However, before that, while Tom was in school here, she took a number of courses. I think she was here for 3 years before graduating from Oklahoma University. She received her master's in education here at Northwestern in 1976, and she taught for several years in various elementary schools. As OCU's First Lady, McDaniel takes great pride in founding OCU Chats, a student involvement movement that has inspired renewed student initiatives at the university. Through this program, students get a chance to have dinner with the McDaniels and express concerns and desires for the university. Besides OCU, one of Brenda's passions is serving on the Oklahoma Methodist Conference Circle of Care, an organization that focuses on the needs of Oklahoma's at promise children, youth, and families. In 1995, shortly after the Murrow building was bombed, Brenda was asked to write a story of her experiences while working at the Salvation Army canteen every night for 3 weeks following the bombing. The book, In Their Name, was a portrait of how Oklahoma set the Oklahoma standard during the aftermath. The McDaniels have, as you have seen, 3 grown sons who we're pleased to have with us today, Lance, Randy, and Mark, and 3 grandchildren, 2 of which we're fortunate to have with us. Randy is married to Julie Wells McDaniel, Julie, and his wife, Steve, and Mark has his wife with him, or was going to have his wife with him, but she is seeing after a football game a championship in Oklahoma City in which their son is playing, Cole, and his wife is Stacy Cole McDaniel, but she could not be with us. Mark, we're glad to have you here. And they are the proud parents of 3 children, Cole, who's playing football, Joshua, and Megan, who are both with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the McDaniel family, please join me in welcoming Tom and Brenda McDaniel, and Tom will speak. Tom? Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, President Cunningham and distinguished platform guests, friends, old and new, may it please the court. Old habits, hard to break. Practiced law in front of Judge Linder for almost 20 years and have to always remember that, as well as Judge Collier. Glad to see you, my friend. I thought I could get through this without a script, but I start by just saying how honored that Brenda and I feel to be here. I would suspect that every graduate of every university would dream about the day that maybe they could do something for their alma mater. And we're just fortunate that life has been good to us, and that we, while everyone that knows us knows that we're not wealthy. So this gift is not made out of an abundance of wealth, but really what we'd like to say, an abundance of love for Alva and for Northwestern and for this part of the state. It is great to be on the platform with my friend Judge Linder, who just last week was honored by the Judicial Conference as Oklahoma's outstanding trial judge. Isn't that great? Again. And I see so many that I know, but I've got to mention, just so Suzanne will know, Fred Newman is here, who's going to be honored by the State Arts Council in Oklahoma City for a lifetime of work for Alva. Fred, our hat's off to you. I don't know how you did with everybody else, but my 3 guys that sang in your choir all turned out just great. So we salute you. And one last thing, well, not a last thing, I'll just say I wanted to say a word of thanks to these new Rangers that are here, 108 of them. Tim, I just appreciate you bringing the rodeo team out. I don't know whether this is the largest rodeo team in America, but it seems like if we're Rangers, that ought to be a really great thing, don't you think? And then just one plea for mercy. Shane Hansen, I just love watching you play basketball even when you beat us. And I love it that your grandfather, who went to school with me at Northwestern, JD's there, is there every time you play. I think that says something about family and about tradition and about coming home. And I've enjoyed watching you play. You got another year's eligibility? Just one more. Wow. Well, it is true. that when Brenda and I left here in 1960,